I'll meet you on God's golden shore.
You know you're watching a Coen Brothers film if nearly every Coen Brothers film features a crime that fails tragically, comedically, or both. The inciting incident in a Coen Brothers film is often this. A character is faced with a problem, a moral dilemma.
I'd be making money, going to parties, meeting the big shots, sure, but I'd be cutting myself off from the wellspring of that success, from the common man.
You're the toast of Broadway, and you have an opportunity to redeem that for a little cash. Strike that, a lot of cash.
They choose to forego the lawful or moral action for a more expedient and criminal alternative.
No, I'm in a bit of trouble.
What kind of trouble are you in, Jerry?
What follows can feel like fate or the cosmos itself answering human sins with inescapable punishment. The underlying philosophy of the Coens is often described as Old Testament. In other words, brutal and absolute, harsh and unforgiving.
Now, we had a deal here. A deal's a deal.
Is it, Jerry? You asked those 3 poor souls up in Brainerd if a deal's a deal. Go ahead, ask them.
It's basically a given that someone will die, most likely in a violent way.
And I guess that was your accomplice in the wood chipper.
The Coens' morality feels strict, yet it can be difficult to pinpoint its rules exactly. As Vox's Peter Suderman describes it, watching a Coen Brothers movie can feel like watching an elaborate inside joke that you're never quite sure you're in on.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't fucking know either.
Because while we sense that this universe is deeply concerned with morality, it's not a universe that always delivers justice. Evil characters often escape, and good people get taken out as casualties for other people's sins. We have to fear punishment if we do wrong, but if we do good, we can't trust that the world will be good to us in return.
I've tried to be a serious man, you know? Tried to do right, be a member of the community.
As film critic Tasha Robinson put it, God may be capricious about rewarding the just, but never about punishing the guilty. It's impossible to earn success through good works, but easy to earn failure through bad ones. So, on the one hand in the Coens universe, we have an Old Testament-style vengeful God cutting us down when we transgress. But on the other, we have a world of chance where good doesn't necessarily triumph. Everything just might be arbitrary and meaningless. Innocents can fall like flies while the guilty escape. It's safe to say, at least, that if you get involved in a crime in a Coen Brothers movie, someone will be punished for it, even if it isn't you.
Things have changed. Circumstances, Jerry, beyond the acts of God, force majeure.
Before we go on, we want to tell you a little bit about this video's sponsor. Mubi is a curated film streaming service with a twist. You get 30 films per month, a new film every day. It's a hand-picked selection of movie gems from around the world. We're huge fans of Mubi at Screen Prism, so click the link in our description below to get a full month of Mubi for free. We're in a world of randomness and monsters. This brutal, unfair world pushes us to acknowledge the terrifying role of randomness in our lives. Life in a Coen's film is endlessly mysterious.
Who the f*** are you? Why are you following me around?
Uncertain.
The uncertainty principle. It proves we can't ever really know what's going on.
And full of coincidence.
Except the mystery.
Cruel chance is embodied in Anton Chigurh's coin toss in No Country for Old Men.
You need to call it. I can't call it for you. Well, it wouldn't be fair.
I didn't put nothing up.
Yes, you did. You've been putting it up your whole life. You just didn't know it.
The regular person witnessing this world of monstrosity may feel it's okay for them to act monstrously too. But if monsters can escape the consequences of their crimes, regular people usually won't. Burn After Reading would seem like an exception to this because Linda, who's the cause of all the disaster, lives and even gets what she wants, plastic surgery. Yet, we come to realize Linda was never one of the regular people. She's been one of the monsters all along.
There is more material?
Well, there's a lot more, but we want to be paid first.
In the face of uncertainty, most of us humans are best off trying to be like Marge in Fargo, capable, kind, humble, and optimistic, yet aware of what we're up against, and not broken down by seeing the terrible things people can do to each other.
And it's a beautiful day.
Nicholas Brady of Taste of Cinema notes that in most cases, the lead character is their own antagonist. Many characters are hapless, incompetent, and make very bad decisions.
You two are just dumber than a bag of hammers.
They might have something special about them, like Everett's smooth talking in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
A detect like me, you're endowed with the gift of gab.
Or Tom Reagan's unshakable cool in Miller's Crossing. But even these characters veer into the silly and ridiculous.
I suppose it'd be the acme of foolishness to inquire if you had a hairnet.
And for the most part, characters are average. What's interesting is how these unremarkable everymen cope with remarkably absurd situations or challenges where they're way out of their depth.
I could be sitting here with just pee stains on my rug.
Yeah.
As an audience, we don't particularly like or want to be like these characters. More often we cringe waiting for the inevitable car crash. Of course, Jerry Lundegaard's plan to have his wife kidnapped was bound to go awry, and it's obvious to everyone but Llewellyn Moss that if you happen across a gruesome crime scene populated by murdered drug dealers, that you should not take that money. Yet, we do feel bad for these characters.
Most guys I just feel sorry for.
Their suffering is sympathetic.
Wouldn't mind the hanging, but the laying in the grave so long, poor boy.
It's just that no feeling from us or them can alter the consequences of what they've done. And once the sin is committed, characters can't do anything to redeem themselves. It doesn't fit into just one genre, but has a clear tone. The Coens play with genre, moving from neo-noir to slapstick comedy to gangster period piece from film to film and also within the films themselves. The through line is their distinct tone. You could say it really ties their work together.
Yeah, man, it really tied the room together.
Coen Brothers films exist in what critic Brian Papish calls a slightly embellished reality. They're darkly funny, broad, bizarre, stylized, yet down to earth, with surprisingly heartfelt moments.
Heck, Norm, you know, we're doing pretty good.
I love you, Margie.
I love you, Norm.
Yet always ruthlessly anti-sentimental.
I don't think you're going to make a movie which is sentimental. I don't think we're going to make a movie about the triumph of the human spirit.
A Coen Brothers movie won't leave you feeling totally hopeless and pessimistic, though. Even though the Coens get accused of having a Kubrickian coldness to their films, the feeling they're communicating is more that the darkness and comedy of life exist side by side.
I think we both have a horror of sentimentality. I like it when you leave a movie feeling good, but you want to say, you know, look how horrible people can be. Isn't life great?
The Coens are from Minnesota, and their films often have a Midwestern or Southwestern setting, or they may weave in elements of a traditional Western. But through the Coens' eyes, small-town Americans' lives become bizarre, offbeat, dark, and dangerous. Just as Flannery O'Connor is known for the Southern Gothic style, the Coens craft what we might call Midwestern Gothic. Fargo could not exist in any other place.
I'd be very surprised if our suspect was from Brainerd.
Blood Simple asserts within the first minute that understanding its Texas setting is essential to understanding the character's motives.
What I know about is Texas. Down here, you're on your own.
The Big Lebowski is inextricably linked to Los Angeles.
Sometimes there's a man. Well, he's the man for his time and place. He fits right in there. And that's the dude in Los Angeles.
The dialogue in a Coen Brothers movie has a deliberate, stylized rhythm and wit.
It's a fool who looks for logic in the chambers of the human heart.
I'll show you the life of a mind! If the rule you followed, Brudget is. Of what use was the rule?
Dialogue style is so interconnected with the world of each particular story that it feels like the world cannot exist without characters who speak this way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, is that useful to you?
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
And those characters wouldn't speak that way outside of this world.
Oh, well, then it were so simple.
There's a familiar visual language from film to film. Tracking shots down corridors, conversations in cars, a shot of a screaming character, specifically the one that critics fondly refer to as the howling fat man, and dream sequences or fantasies. Wide lenses exaggerate camera movements and actors' features and show us more of the environment. So, visually too, these characters are inseparable from their worlds. The Coens have a gift for visual precision. They know how to zero in on a defined subject and remove the clutter. So there's a certain cleanliness in their images. What we see is incredibly specific and neatly organized. There's almost something intangibly Midwestern about the framing in a Coen film. Broad, wide, and open, more complex than what's noticeable at first glance. Surprising, incongruous visual combinations yield images that stay with us. Cinematographer Roger Deakins has worked on 12 of the 17 Coen brothers feature films. Ethan describes the experience of being on their set as this. There's a guy who is working and making the movie named Roger Deakins, and Roger has 2 friends who sit around and read the newspaper. Deakins is a big part of why the Coens famously film dialogue scenes with a wide lens, placed inside the conversation rather than over the character's shoulder.
And personally, I'm sitting here talking to you, and you're filming me from over there on a shoulder on probably a single, where I'd rarely do that, because I think, the camera was to be, to me, I would shoot singles inside here.
Composer Carter Burwell has also worked on 10 of the Coens' films, creating the ambient scores that are vital to establishing the Coen-esque atmosphere. You see the same familiar faces over and over, in roles written specifically for the actors. Frances McDormand, John Goodman, John Turturro, Steve Buscemi, George Clooney, Tilda Swinton, Josh Brolin, Jeff Bridges, and more. Many of them are oddballs with character who look like real people instead of having stereotypical movie star looks. When watching a Coen film, you may find yourself asking, haven't we seen something similar to this before? It's a question that the filmmakers occasionally ask themselves.
Haven't we shot this scene before?
More generally, it feels like the Coens return to certain thematic grounds, circling fundamental questions of morality and existence. They're a rare example of the AUTEUR-AS partnership. The Coens exercise complete control over every aspect of their films, writing, directing, and producing, even editing under the pseudonym Roderick Jaynes. And there's no separating one brother's fingerprints from the others.
And there's no real separation of labors.
Actors who work with the Coens note how organized, specific, and in sync the brothers are.
And what you realize is you actually never do it your way. You always do it their way, but they make you feel like it's all your idea.
It's full of cultural references from a wide variety of historical, literary, cinematic, and cultural sources. The Coens are nuanced and innovative in the way they draw from sources, as well as seriously well-read and informed by a wide range of diverse cultural influences. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a reimagining of Homer's The Odyssey, set in Depression-era Mississippi, and its title comes from Preston Sturges' Sullivan's Travels, which is about a director who wants to make a movie called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Big Lebowski was influenced by Raymond Chandler's novels, while The Gutterballs dream sequence takes visual inspiration from choreographer Busby Berkeley. A Serious Man is based on the biblical story of Job, and weaves in semi-autobiographical details from the Coens' own upbringing. Miller's Crossing pulls from the works of Dashiell Hammett. Hudsucker Proxy is an ode to the Art Deco era of New York City. All Hail Caesar is an affectionate parody of all things old Hollywood. Barton Fink draws from Jim Thompson's A Hell of a Woman and the nonfiction book City of Nets, about German expats in Hollywood. The premise was partly inspired by Roman Polanski's Repulsion and The Tenant. And the Coens have suggested that Barton Fink himself was based on playwright Clifford Odets, while W.P. Mayhew's character was loosely based on William Faulkner.
Well, me, I just enjoy making things up.
The Coens reappropriate reference to feel new and refreshing. So not only do the filmmakers adapt source materials and phrases to different contexts,
children are man at his strongest. They abide.
The dude abides.
But even their characters do the same.
This will not stand.
This will not stand.
The characters don't necessarily get anywhere, learn anything, or become better. They likely don't get what they want.
I always figured when I got older, God would sort of come into my life somehow. And he didn't.
The dude gets no reparations for his rug. Larry Gopnik achieves no real understanding of why bad things happen. Llewyn Davis takes a beating while Bob Dylan gets the big break he's been dreaming of. Characters often wind up right back where they started, or worse off. In the end, it's about the journey. If the big answers often elude the characters, the Coens' answer to the big questions their movies ask seems to be that life is endlessly mysterious and rife with uncertainty. There's no way to know what will happen next, except that something will happen. All we can do is accept our powerlessness in the face of that truth and go along for the ride. embracing the tragicomic absurdity inherent in our human existence.
Well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Hi guys, this is Alani, the newest member of the Screen Prism team, and today I want to talk to you about one of our favorite places to watch movies, Mubi. Mubi is a treasure trove of films from around the globe. Every day, a new film is added and the oldest is taken away. So, in this world where it's very easy to spend hours debating what you should watch, Mubi is like having a really cool friend with amazing taste in movies, making it so much easier for you. They feature hard-to-come-by masterpieces, indie festival darlings, influential art house and foreign films, lesser-known films by your favorite famous directors, and more. Plus, you can even download the films to watch offline, and there are no ads, ever. One film you can watch right now on Mubi is A Cambodian Spring. It's an eye-opening documentary about 3 activists who get involved with land rights protests in Cambodia. A Cambodian Spring is part of Mubi's collaboration with Human Rights Watch, and it holds an 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Point is, we can't recommend Mubi highly enough. You can try it out for free for a whole month. Just click the link in the description below.